Hi there, I'm Malika Kapoor, Deputy Global Editor at Bloomberg Live, and I am delighted to host this really important conversation about sustainable business and in particular about launching a mission-driven company. Paula Femme is just that. It's a socially driven sleepwear company, and I'd love you to join me in giving a very warm welcome to its owners, designer Karen Fowler and actor and activist Robin Wright. Karen and Robin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
I want to begin with you, Robin, and ask you, why did you decide to launch this company?
Well, Karen and I have been friends for over 25 years, and she is a clothing designer. And we always wanted to create what we thought was the perfect pajama. And in concert, being able to build a sustainable brand where we could support charitable organizations for women in conflict regions around the world.
Tell me a little bit about the ethos of the company, Robin. I've heard you say many times, it's a give back company. What does it mean to be part of a give back company?
Well, originally we started with doing microfinancing. And when I went to the Congo and I spoke to these women who had been used as weapons of war. And I heard their stories and I said, what is it that you really need? What is it that you want? And they said, we need a voice and we need work. We don't want handouts. So that sort of trajectory shifted for us. And then we said, well, we want to, yes, do that, give them support so that they can get back on their feet and feel pride. And also, that we wanted to practice slow fashion. And we only work with fair trade workshops and from point A to point Z in the creation, the development of every piece. We're thinking about our carbon footprint.
So it's not just about trying to do away with the carbon footprint, isn't it? How important was it to you, Karen, I'm going to come to you next. How important was it to you to create a socially conscious company, a socially conscious fashion line?
Well, when we started, I've had a few brands. So when we started, we didn't know it was going to turn into a global brand. And so started, locally in Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles is a place where a lot of designers can come and there's a lot of access to, factories and buying fabric in small quantities and that sort of thing. And then as we grew, we were able to go to places like Davos and Cannes, and we became really aware of the impact that fashion has on the planet. So it became, with bringing the best quality product that we can bring to the marketplace, it became as important to be really careful of our carbon footprint. So like Robin said, from A to Z, we think it out from, like our production process is thought out from the time we buy fabric, where we buy it, the process where it gets to our workshops, the people working in our workshops, making sure they make a fair wage, that all these workshops have the certificates, down to the plastic we wrap our garments in. We've just started using a plastic called polymateria that is biodegradable. So really, like Robin said, from A to Z, it became the most important our process, which is slow fashion, which is literally the process in which production is conducted. So it became our focal point, and it is to this day.
How are you trying to rethink fashion? I mean, as you said, you realize that fashion has a tremendous impact on the planet. And let's be honest, it's no secret here that fashion has a really negative impact on the planet. It's one of the most polluting industries in the world. There are supply chain issues. There are ethical sourcing issues. How are you trying to rethink fashion and how to minimize the impact fashion has on the planet through what you're doing?
Well, like I said, when we started, we were small. So we were lucky enough to be educated about, I've been a designer for 20 years. And because I had smaller brands, I had no idea what massive companies the impact was on the planet. So like I said, we were lucky enough to go to these platforms and hear what fashion, the impact that fashion has on the planet. So during COVID, really, we've spent our time really streamlining our production. And we're working with a company called Soku, who tracks our carbon footprint from the start to the end. And literally on our garments, probably starting in summertime, we will have a QR code on our garments that literally you can scan, and it will tell you the life of that garment and from start to finish. It says from our hands to your hands, and it tells you the journey of the garment and the person that actually made it and the impact it's having on their lives. So we're really proud of the work we're doing, and we're excited to share it with the world.
So the QR code will literally be able to give a customer a glimpse into the whole journey of the garment. So it's really creating a very transparent journey, right?
We want to be as transparent as we can possibly be. And you will literally scan the QR code, which will be by the care label, and it will tell you where the cotton was bought, the person who sewed it, what their lives are like, how their lives have changed by paying these fair wages in our workshops. We work in workshops. They're not factories. And just so people know what slow fashion is, it's literally, when we cut, it's all hand cut. So there's not massive waste. Most people don't know when you lay out a pattern, there's big spaces in fabric, and all that fabric goes into the waste, which clogs our planet. We literally use it for eye masks, lingerie bags, anything we can make. So that we don't have a huge waste of fabric. So it will tell you literally all of that to your hands, the transport. So you'll have a clear journey of the product.
Robin, why was it so important for you when you got involved with this company? Why was it so important that the business had to have a social responsibility? Would you have launched a sleepwear line if there wasn't this social mission attached to it?
Well, it was twofold, because the reason behind wanting to create a give back company was security and comfort is what pajama sleepwear represents, what it symbolizes. And that very metaphor is exactly what the women in these conflict regions don't have. So I wanted to make them, twins. Like let's build the platform where you're actually creating a product with the same ethos that you want to give these women in conflict regions. So it was kind of a theme,
Right. And I want to make this distinction, because what you're doing is not really giving these women handouts, right? The goal is to empower them, to give them work. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it basically evolved into that, right, Karen? I mean, it was maybe 2 years in, and we work with Kasani, a group in the Congo, where they do a capsule collection for Pour La Femme. So every time you purchase one of the products they build, you are directly giving a woman a day of work.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like there's...
Karen, I see you nodding. So yes, do you want to add to that? I see you nodding.
Sorry, I feel like there's two, we started off like Robin said, and when we launched the first 30 days, we gave all the money to charity, and it was 2 civil society groups that Robin had visited in the Congo. And we've recently set up our own Pour La Femme Foundation. So, we think it's important for structures and building communities and that sort of thing for donations. But we feel with our Give Work program, like Robin said, every day of work, like a pajama gives a woman 3 days of work. And one of our makeup bags gives a woman 1 day of work. And to date, we've brought almost 3,000 days of work to that region. Our goal is 50,000. There's 200 trained embroiderers there. And so we think it's important for donations in certain structures. We know because we've visited these women and heard their stories, they want work, just like people here want work. It's no different. It gives them pride, and it enables them to take care of their families and give back to their communities.
I want to talk to you about the consumer. Karen, you've been a designer for a long time. You've had collections and lines before. Are you seeing a shift in the mindset of the consumer? Are consumers more willing to buy now from companies like yours, which do have a social mission?
I think that they're getting there. I think consumers are becoming more and more educated about the process and why things maybe cost a little bit more. So I think we're getting there. I think we have a long way to go. I think if it's the same as if you concern yourself with what organic food you eat, or you concern yourself with what things you're buying and realize you might have to pay a little bit more to give someone a fair wage or pay someone a fair wage. I think that, I think you'll understand the importance, but I think it's educating yourself, and it's also becoming more aware of what's happening in the world.
Robin, what do you think? I mean, do you think brands like yours have a role and a responsibility to play when it comes to inspiring the consumer to think differently about what they're buying, about the products they have a choice to buy?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have an entrepreneur giving some words of advice, it's to say, you have to stick to that ethos. And that ethos is actually educating the people that are in the unknowing. We didn't know. And then when we learned about slow fashion and how much waste there is, like I just bought something the other day. I think I bought a pack of underwear and the amount of plastic that was on this 4-pack of underwear was unbelievable. It took me 5 minutes just to cut it off. Right. And I was thinking, wow, that kind of stuff, I think that would be my first bit of advice to give to somebody starting out in a business, is you want to align yourself with like-minded people that are caring about the planet and thinking about the destruction that plastic has, for instance. That's a starting point for thinking about, okay, what is my path? What do I want my path to be? What do I want the result of that path to be? And like Karen said, I think we have to keep reiterating. We have to amplify the voice of how you can become a sustainable brand and what that means to the planet, what that means to our future and for our children's future.
When you started the company, Robin, we do have a lot of entrepreneurs in our audience at Bloomberg Live events. And, a lot of them are thinking about launching sustainable businesses or looking for ideas about how they can convert their existing businesses to become more sustainable. I'm curious, did you have any challenges when you started out? And what advice do you have for people who want to make that maybe just one change, one difference towards becoming more sustainable?
Karen, that's Karen's.
That's Karen. Karen, I'll come to you first.
I think Robin could answer that too. It's if you made one change, I would say the plastic that we've made. That's huge. If you read about how much plastic is wasted in the fashion industry, it literally has to change. The hangers change 4 to 6 times before they reach the floor, and all those plastic hangers go in the trash. So I would say that. I would say pay someone more money. Buy. We laugh because as a fashion brand, we are literally telling people to buy less.
Yes.
Right? Buy less, but buy better. Buy something that will last, that you can have, forever, if not, 10 years, if not forever. But
it's less quantity and more quality.
Yes.
Exactly. On that note, Karen. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. A big call out that I would love, and Robin and I both talk about this, we would love for these bigger retailers. It's actually more prevalent in Europe that these big retailers get on, are on the same page about sustainability. I would love to call out some big retailers in the US and demand, there's all kinds of plastic we have to use or hangers we have to use. I would love a call out for the change of these CEOs to have to change the process behind fashion. And that's where it would be such a big change so quickly if they would change their practices.
That's what it needs, right? I mean, I was struck because there was an index and a survey that just came out. It was a business of fashion that launched its first sustainable business, first sustainability index, which literally just came out a few days ago. And it's really worrying because they found that the biggest retailers in the world fall way short of their rhetoric. And when it comes to their commitment towards sustainability, there is a very long way to go for the big retailers to step in. So Karen, do that call out. we need voices like yours. But I wanted to ask you, Karen, is sustainable fashion scalable? Or are we going to see, smaller firms, boutique retail companies having to lead the way? Is sustainable fashion scalable?
Oh, definitely. I think where there's energy, things will always change. Yes, I think it's definitely scalable. We're scaling but we're staying true to our ethos. So it's not always easy. It's not that we just turned down a huge contract with a company that we don't believe in their ethos. So, but we'll keep going.
Takes guts. And that takes guts to do that, right?
Takes guts, and it's like, oh, should we have done that? But yes, we definitely we should have done it. So we're not going to veer from our ethos, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to get there. We're already scaling. So yes, for sure, anyone can scale. They just have to forge ahead and stay true to their path.
Robin, I'm curious, the last year, the pandemic, lockdowns, all of us staying at home, in a way, I think we've all been forced to slow down a little bit. Do you think the pandemic is going to have a real change in consumption patterns or in people's attitude towards fashion, slow fashion? How do you think the pandemic is going to affect this?
You hit the nail on the head. It's slowing down allows one to actually be more discerning. And I'm finding that, yes, in the fashion industry where people want to be educated. They want to know, well, what is that protocol that could be different? I'm noticing it in the entertainment industry where we don't need to have so much waste. We don't need to put people on planes and talk about carbon footprint, right? Just reducing the amount of waste everywhere. I think this last year, there's been a lot of benefits. Yes, a lot of pain and agony and loss. But maybe this has been a big lesson on the positive end of how we can preserve our planet and shift a lot of just what is the value in all of that waste that we've been doing? We can still have value in the simplicity. Like we're doing right now. We're doing an interview via Zoom. We've been doing this for a year. We can do it. We don't have to get on a plane and fly to New York and London, right?
Exactly.
And maybe that's a positive change.
And I have one last question, which I'm going to come to both of you. But Karen, I'll come to you first. What would you like the legacy of your business to be?
I would like it to be that we weathered the storm of the transition from old practices to new ones, and that we stayed true to our ethos and care about the planet, and that we're a leader for this change in fashion.